Hey, how's it going, Kim?
I'm doing well, Oliver. I'm excited to have a chill chat with you today. The way that I do these interviews is really like laid back, doesn't have to be all formal and crazy. I love that you show up looking nice
Every day you gotta.
every day, right? So, to everyone jumping in, Oliver is our Ignite client, and this interview is serves two purposes. One, to answer whatever questions you have around Ignite as we're going through Oliver's story, and two, to showcase Oliver's story as well. Because as always, when I interview a client, it's not just all about client tell everyone how great we are. It's more like there are some people that would resonate with Oliver that might see Oliver as as a resource, as someone to connect to. And this way, it is win-win for everyone involved because Oliver gets more exposure to my audience, and then also, I'm not paying him to do this. He actually paid us to be in our program. So,
Good.
so that's what this is about. Just giving you that framework, you guys. So ask as many questions as you want with us. This is going to be interactive. Otherwise, let's just dive on into. Oh, we need that. Okay, you need that Miami office view. I go live a lot and I show you guys what it looks like. But let's get into this interview. So, Oliver, thank you so much for showing up today. I am super excited. Let's start off with your origin story. Like, how did you stumble upon this crazy world of, figuring out you can profit from these Facebook groups? What series of events in your life led you to finding out about us? Or like having the decision, whatever breakthrough aha moments you've had along the way as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I found you guys. I would say I found Facebook groups quite late into the journey. Honestly, I was started with marketing. I worked in agencies. Like every entrepreneur kind of knows, it's like you kind of got to at some point in time have this almost like nagging. It's like you got to start your own thing, and I always knew it was going to happen. I think it happened quicker than I anticipated it would. So I was working in marketing agencies as a copywriter. Did some stuff for Amazon, some stuff for Nissan, and it was fun. But then I decided I wanted to go into real estate because I was like, well, I don't have a product. I don't know. I'm not going to like invent the next ShamWow or Snuggie or something like that. So like to have a company, you need to invent the next ShamWow or the next Snuggie. So it's real estate for me. And as I was studying for my license, one of my friends was like, why don't you just start your own marketing agency? And I was like, I don't really know anything about how to do that, but let me give it a go. This was years ago. So then I did, and I did lead generation for real estate. And I'm kind of fast forwarding a couple of steps just to get to the meat and potatoes of it. And then as time went on, I realized I wanted to do more of a coaching with service consolidated model. Coaching is a lot more scalable, and it's honestly a lot more collaborative, which I liked. And you can really help a lot more people if you're doing it with coaching. Because like I said, it's more of a collaboration, so you can sort of help them, encourage them along the way, motivate them to keep on working at it. And the amount of time that me and you have actually sat down one-on-one, comparatively with how much money your system has given me, I mean, it's really phenomenal the amount of time that we've sat down. I mean, you've been available, but I just haven't needed it because I followed your processes. I've booked appointments when I needed with your people when I did need it, and I followed the process. And just to be able to kind of provide that back to my clients. Honestly, here's something interesting. I don't even know if you knew this. I didn't have a full coaching program when I signed up with you. I didn't. I kind of just had a software that I sold. And then I realized as I was doing your program pretty early on, I was like, I really should create a framework. And I did. And I followed your framework for creating my own framework. And I now have a coaching program that works with the software that I had as well. And I'm like, I'm all in on that. And now everything else that I was doing is now put way to the side. And this is this new model that I've been doing. The name of my business is called Inabox. That's INABOX. So the website is goinabox.com. Full disclosure, if you go there right now, the website that it's set up is more just a software because it's literally so new that I haven't even made it look more like the actual coaching program. If you want to see the coaching program, the website is goinabox.com/ignite, ironically. I guess I liked your name that much, but don't worry. I asked Michael. I said, "Is it like plagiarism if I use the word ignite?" She's like, "No." He's like, "No, it works." But yeah, so now all of a sudden I'm charging $5,000 a year for my product, 6,000 for my program, 6,000 if it's with a payment plan. Very, very minimal overhead. It requires very little of my time because I'm doing group coaching calls. And now, honestly, a lot of my time is spent on the personal phone calls that I'm doing with my clients because I decide that I want to kind of go above and beyond for them. And if at any point in time I say like I'm too busy to kind of keep on taking these one-on-one calls, like it's not expected that I'm taking them. It's just a nice thing that I'm doing an extra. So all of my clients know that at any point in time I might be like, I don't have time to do this many one-on-one calls. So it's just a very scalable model, and it's allowed me to get a lot more freedom. So that when I got the $17,000 from the first launch, like most of that stayed with me. Almost all of it stayed with me.
I love that. Oh my gosh. And Oliver, I love how fast you talk, because you talk kind of like super fast like I talk. So just to recap for the audience, because you went through your story so fast. You guys, Oliver, when he started with us, and this is something I did know because, you know, we saw your client profile and everything. You didn't have a coaching program before, you have a software. And this is a question that a lot of people come to me with. They're like, well, Kim, I don't have a program put together. Can I still do this? Do I need to go and record a bunch of videos and then I join your program to be able to do this? Well, the answer is no. What it does is it will take the thing that you're selling piece by piece, this little tiny thing that you've been selling, stretch it into a bigger option, reduce your overhead costs, reduce the overhead because of the model, it's just scalable model, and then have you actually convert on the bigger package that allows you to have that cash flow. So with Oliver, he started off with no program. He followed my model. He followed Ignite's model to pitch, to create his own framework, and do it in a way that doesn't lead to burnout, and do it in a way that can convert. And he can see clearly that he can scale this up. And one of the things that he mentioned that I am proud of is I want you, when you enroll with me, you're modeling after a system that will allow you to have a life, that will allow you to, you know, like Oliver didn't jump on a lot of one-on-one calls with me at all. And he loved that because he doesn't want to do that. You know, he doesn't want to just like burn out with the clients that he has. He wants to follow a scalable model. And the great thing is he has success even when I'm not the one jumping on a lot of one-on-one calls. And in that way, there's something that, you know, your best clients need the system and need you sometimes as needed, but they don't feel like they depend on you like a crutch, you know. It's like they come in and then they follow the framework and then they run with it. So that's how we designed our program, to give phenomenal results and not burn you out. So those are the things that Oliver touched upon. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the details. Oh, someone says, tell us about the software side. What can we use it for? Heart.
Okay, yeah. For sure. I'm assuming you want me to answer this question right now, yeah?
Sure, why not? They're asking questions.
So the software, like I said, it's called In a Box. So my idea coming in, and I'll tell you what was a little bit lacking with this idea, was it's one software that I use High Level for, right? This is my white label version of High Level, and it's everything a real estate agent needs to succeed in a box. That tagline is actually still on my main website, like I said, because this new model is also new. And the problem with that is if you're trying to present yourself as someone who does everything, that really means that you do nothing, right? So a jack of all trades is really a master of none. So even though really High Level as a software can do everything, as the white label version of High Level, we need to kind of take that and crystallize it and make it more clear to the end user. And saying it does everything you need is not really, that's not good packaging, as it were. So that was sort of the challenge that I was facing. And the other thing is that real estate agents have KV Core, they have KW Command, they have all of these different CRM tools and marketing suites that, like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be like, you should really be using In a Box. Even though your brokerage offers these other ones that have 1 billion features, you should use my 1 billion features instead. So it was never going to scale like that. So I'm honestly at this point in time, I forgot the point. Oh yeah, what does the software actually do? Is that was the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so what it does what high level does, right? It's a CRM, it's a website builder, it's a funnel builder. You can schedule posts to your social media. It's a calendar software. It's forms and surveys and all of these different kinds of integrations. Which, if you're new in this game, you might hear that and be like, "Wow, that's amazing! My software is going to answer anything that my clients are going to need." I'm going to tell you right now: save yourself the headache and the heartache. The logical argument, the logical pitch of why they should work with you, because it's a one-stop shop and this and that and it's cheaper, and it's not going to work. You need an emotional pitch, right? They need to just know that like you've got it taken care of and this is what I do. So I took that software piece, which really can actually do everything, and I created this coaching program with it to create a whole new product called a scale engine. And a scale engine is basically a framework that you can follow that works within a box. So I happen to be the only fellow on the market right now selling a scale engine. It's kind of like what Russell Brunson did with ClickFunnels, right? He popularized ClickFunnels. It was really just a website builder. And then he's like, it's not a website builder, it's a funnel builder. It's a sales funnel builder. And they say, what's that, Russell? And he'll say, well, what you do is you follow this framework with this thing, and it's not a website builder, it's a funnel builder, and you'll scale and you'll make more money. That's what I did. Not a CRM, it's a scale engine. What's a scale engine, Ollie? Well, here's the framework you follow. This is the software, and you put it together, and you'll scale your business. That's kind of how I approach this, and that's really what I'm doing. And like I said, I have a lot more bandwidth. I'm reaching a lot more people. I'm closing people even besides for the launch. Right? Like, I think for me, the biggest takeaway, the best thing that I got out of this, yes, the launch is amazing, but I've made a lot more money, a lot more than 17,000, not from the launch, just from following a framework to build the course itself. So I know that like the main point of this is the launch, but following your process to build a framework has given me a new product to sell, which is selling very consistently. It's a much easier sell, even though it's much more high tickets. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's more expensive than anything I've ever sold, and it's an easier sell. And it's to the point where now even my more expensive products that I was selling beforehand, I literally just got off of a sales call where I was trying to tell the guy not to purchase the thing that would cost him $3,000 a month for the next 6 months, which is $18,000. But because of the overhead and the work that's included and stuff, I was like, no, please don't do that. That's not going to help you as much as this one is. So kind of to be in that position where I'm trying to tell people, don't pay me $18,000 there, pay me $5,000 here. That seems quite counterintuitive, but this is just so much easier, so much more scalable. And yeah.
I love that. I love that, Oliver. You mentioned Russell Brunson. So I want to ask you, like, you knew about Russell Brunson. You knew about the frameworks. You knew about these things before. And one of the things you mentioned before I get into that is that you said the launch itself is something that you think that you got into. It's something that we said is a vehicle. And a lot of our clients are like, oh, that's it. But really, it's about the whole big picture. It's about the ancillary, benefits of going through this process, that you see other people buying your other packages. That's the unintended effect in your mind, but that's the intended effect that we plan on having you have. Like
Right.
The launch itself, you're selling through your launch, sure. But then there's all these other benefits from going through this process that lets you sell whatever else is out there, whatever other packages. And if they're greater packages that give you more cash flow, that's great. You mentioned that you made even more money outside of the 17,000. Like what were those numbers? Just so that, I get some idea.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I will tell you it's probably been about, I don't want to say $30,000 because that sounds like a lot, but I think it was about that, maybe more, a little bit more. It was about 30, let's say, to $35,000. But I mean, I've been doing this honestly for like a month or two now or something. I've just done one launch. Again, I couldn't tell you the exact number, but I know that like I've now got people reaching out. Like I have another coach in my program now. I brought in another coach and he reached out to me because we were kind of growing together. So we're kind of at the start of our journey. We were together before we knew anything, knew anyone or whatever. And he's still with me. Thank you. So he's still working with me. He's now a coach in our program. And he's reaching out to be like, how are you doing this? Because basically he's in our Facebook chat and it's like every couple of days, it feels like there's just another person coming in, and he knows the model, he knows the process, and he knows that when I bring someone in, it's just $5,000 or $6,000 in my pocket, basically. And he's like, they just keep on coming, right? So I having record months, honestly. I think at this point in time, like I don't want to talk about it as if my business is now allowing me to like buy Lamborghinis, and like it's not where I'm at. We're at the point where like I'm trying to grow and systematize, and everything that you've given me, trying to basically put all of those ducks in a row, because there's a lot of stuff and it is a process. But I'll tell you that the problems that I'm having now, although they're still stressful to me, right? Because it's what it is. It's never ending, but they are very different problems than I was having. I'll tell you that absolutely. That's what's happening right now.
I remember our conversation where you were telling me how, your mom is your business partner, and you were in a different place when we had that conversation, energy-wise. Can you take us back to that? Like, how did you feel, like before you joined Ignite? What was your reality like back then? And then like, how long did it take for you to see the return on your investment back? That's the second question I want to ask. So like, take us back to like the state and the condition that you were in before you joined Ignite. What did the landscape look like? And then of course now you're like, things are coming in every day, which is awesome. But I want to go back to that and kind of compare that difference, that shift in you, because I see a very clear shift.
Yeah. So I'm quite weary of I love that. You don't care about. I honestly don't. I hate hustle culture. Like I'm so vocal about how much I hate hustle culture. I made a post recently about like I don't cold call, not because I don't think it's going to help my business. Of course it will, but because I want to be happy, and it makes me unhappy when I get rejected and cursed at and yelled at. And I'm still getting people commenting on my Facebook thing, being like, "I eat whatever for breakfast. I eat rejection for breakfast." So, and I'm like, well, it's good for you. Anyway, so what was going on there? So yeah, I'm the kind of guy, I'm wary about who I sign up with when it comes to knowledge, because like I've been doing this for a little while now, so I know a lot of stuff conceptually. My thing is not about how much knowledge can I fill in my brain. My thing is about how do I take that knowledge and build a map out of it. So I've invested in coaching 3 times in my life. You were the third time that I invested in a coach, even though it's not really just coaching, but yeah, it is. So I'd say the second time I invested in coaching with a guy called Matt DeSano, who's an amazing guy, just so you know also. So he gave me this offer, or he created this offer with me where I can get real estate agents to the first page of Google in 30 days or less, or I'll give them $500 for wasting their time. So that model, that was a $500 offer where if they're not on the first page of Google in 30 days or less, then I'll give them their $500 back. So it baffles me that this ever didn't sell. However, as you know, when you're selling a $500 product, you're going to get $500 clients. When you're selling a $5,000 product, you're going to get a $5,000 client. So I'm selling the product at the exact same rate when it comes to the amount of calls I'm taking, if not honestly more. I feel a lot more confident on the call because I built the program, right? The 1 in 30, first page of Google in 30 days, that's a service. But this one is something that I built from scratch. This is my baby. So I'm selling probably the $5,000 at a higher percentage. And I was just exhausted, because how many calls are you going to have to go on with somebody trying to basically like peddling a $500 product to people, and they're saying no here and there. You've got to treat them like it's a high ticket offer, but it's not a high ticket offer. And so that was kind of what was going on beforehand. And when I got on the phone with you, like I knew I needed something. I created a Facebook group. I knew that was going to be like the next thing for me, but I just didn't know what to do with it. And I'm very reluctant, like I said, to invest in somebody's knowledge because I know a lot of stuff. So it's like, yes, I'm investing in knowledge, but I'm also investing in a framework. So for somebody who's, let's say, new to the game to be impressed by you, that's not necessarily going to impress me so much. But what I did is I went to your 5-day launch. I spoke to people who've worked with you. Everything checked out. So I kind of came in, and by the way, the upsell after the $500 product was, it was a $3,500 for the year for the software, and then some coaching, whatever that looked like. That was a really hard sell as well, because the coaching, whatever that looked like, wasn't doing it for people, obviously, because whatever it looks like is not, that's not a great sales pitch. I came in with you, didn't really know that the first thing I was going to do was going to be create and create a framework. And that was the first thing that I did. And yeah, sure enough, I mean, the energy right now it's an entirely different thing. So now when somebody says, what do I sell or what's my product? It's not like, well, I offer software and then there's also this thing as well. It's like I'll coach and every business is different. That's not what it is. It's what is your framework? We follow a 3-part framework to scale real estate agents, brand, automate, scale. It's the same process. So every client comes in, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all sequential. It's all taken care of. I know this thing like I know the back of my hand, again, because I built it, and it works. And it's just the business is just different. It is. Now, I also do want to kind of add, every time I do one of these things, I always add a caveat. Like, there are some things that really help that you've kind of given. I wouldn't call them hacks. I don't really like the word hacks. There are certainly things that you've kind of the framework that you've given us to follow. However, if anybody comes in and is just going to expect you and your program to just be like, here's the program and now it'll just be successful, like that's not going to happen. You have to take the program and do it. It's not like massive action. It's just small actions done consistently. And this is what I tell my clients. When I get a client that comes in, even if they paid me money, it's not like that's it for me. Like when they're not taking action, it frustrates me. So in this program, it's not like you sign up for Kim's program and then the next day you're going to be a millionaire. It's work and it's hard work and it's consistent. But you can now look in the mirror and know that, like, if I'm not successful, like, am I really showing up every day? And if you're in the program, if you're not successful, then it's because you're not showing up every day. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and you take massive action, Oliver. So I congratulate you for that. Like you show up, you just dive right on in, and that's the next. Before we get into that, I want to recognize like you already are a sophisticated buyer. You already have heard of Russell Brunson. You've paid for coaching. And you said yes to us because you wanted to follow a framework that worked. So one of the things, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the reason why you decided to say yes to us was because, like you said, everything checked out. You went through our experience. You spoke to people that experienced us as well. And then you're like, okay, this all checks out. So that's how you decide. I want to ask about, like, once you got in, you mentioned, hey, it is work. How long did it take for you to get your return on your investment?
Yeah.
And then also, what are the things that you consumed inside of the program to give you the success that you have?
Okay, those are good questions. So what is the first thing? Okay, so the first thing I did when I came in is I jumped right into building my coaching program right away. So it took me about a month and a half. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I guess maybe it does. Maybe it took me about a month to let's say 2 weeks to a month. Again, if you can't tell right now, I'm not a numbers guy. Let's say about 2 weeks to a month to actually build the program, and this was like 2 weeks to a month of like I like lived, ate, breathed, slept, building my program. So that was that was a lot of work. You don't have to do it as crazy as I did it, but that's what I did. So I built the program up. Once I had the program, everything just simplified. Because now I can just easily tell somebody what it is that I do. So how long did it take me to actually make my money? I sold it before I'd even run the launch, honestly. So let's say I built the program, I run the launch probably about 2 weeks after the program was built. And I sold the product, I think, the first one, I think I sold it a couple of days before the launch. So it must have been about a month. But again, that's a month before. That's maybe about a month or a month and a half. That was even me signing up without a coaching program. If I had a coaching program, I would have been able to run a launch 2 weeks after I signed up. Right. So that would have been like a week and a half or something like that. But again, it's 100% what you put in is what you get out. Like, I think the question that people are trying to answer is number one, are they going to make their money? Like, to be honest, if you're selling a $5,000 product, like whatever you're charging, you don't have to sell that many to make your money back. You just don't. So if people are investing in stocks and they're putting like some money here and like they'll get like 3% back, like it's almost comical. I've lost a lot of money in stocks and I'm just like, I wish I could go back in time and just have all of that money just to reinvest into myself. I would have saved myself a lot of months if I, instead of investing in other people's company, I would have just invested in my own. It's like you're gonna get your money back if you follow the process. I mean, unless you decide after you sign up, like I decided I don't want to do coaching, like maybe then you won't get your money back. Or maybe if you decide that like, I'm just not going to do any work. If you want to do coaching, you want to do a Facebook group, like you will get your money back. It's impossible not to, unless you just don't show up. Yeah, I think so. That kind of answers that question. And then forgive me again, I'm forgetting the second question you asked.
The consumption of the information, because you built out the whole, we didn't tell you to go and create all these modules. That's not, so because some of our clients, they just launch anyways. Your consumption of the material that allowed you to have the framework to be able to sell and get that ROI. Like, what did you do? Did you watch videos? Did you show up to a coaching call? This is for those who are watching in and they don't know what inside entirely looks like. Yeah,
I got you. So the first thing that happened was I had a call with Michael Rosenberg. Michael's a stud. He's a really nice guy. I mean, I think he's
super nice.
He definitely comes across like a really nice guy. But he knows his stuff, right? So like I can tell pretty quickly when I'm talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about versus somebody who doesn't, which is, yeah. So I could tell pretty quickly, like he knew the process in and out. So I got in a call with him and there's a success document. That's the first thing you do. And it's like, this is your success document. And it's like, you go down it and it's like a homework assignment when you're in school. You just answer the questions that they ask you. And then voila, at the end of it, like there's your launch. So in the program, he was basically talking about how we can create this framework, or at least give off this framework, give off I guess sort of the messaging for the program that we have. So this is also, I'm assuming you got this from Russell Brunson, but it was like, I have my X-part framework to achieve a client result. So he kind of laid that out for me and sat with me and is like, what is your 3-part framework that you're following, or however many things it is? And I literally went, okay, so the first thing is this, the second thing, and I went back and forth, must have been like 10 times between what those actual steps are, but it was with Michael. So once I figured out that it was brand, automate, scale, we broke it down. What does brand look like? What does automate look like? What does scale look like? I think to create the framework itself in my head, once I had the direction, wasn't so hard for me to do because I knew, like I said, I knew a lot of stuff. I just needed to take all of these pieces that were all over the place and just like put them in a straight line a little bit. So that was the first thing that happened on that call, is that success document. Once I had finished that, once I'd created the framework, once we'd done the framework together, I basically went off, built the course, came right back to where I left off the success document and basically followed the steps. So there's a line in the success document, also quoted by Russell Brunson. It's like, people will do anything for those that allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, justify their failures. And I'm forgetting all of them, but you go through all of them, right? So yeah. Encourage their dreams. So it's like, imagine if you had this. Okay, good. Confirm their suspicions. And then you did that. And so breaking it down one by one and doing that for each day, where it was like on day one, because I got a 3-part framework. On day one, you're going to do imagine for the whole program. On day 2, you're going to do it for part 1 of your program, which is brand. Day 3, you're going to do it for part 2 of your program. Day 4, you're going to do it for part 3 of your program. And then on day 5, you're going to basically encapsulate the program again. It's just impossible not to succeed when the framework works and it's laid out like that. So I know on day 3, I'm saying, imagine if you had, and then talk about what it would mean if you had automation set up. So imagine if you had systems and processes where you could follow up with 10,000 clients at a time without lifting a finger.
I love how you were like breaking it even further down granularly, Oliver, but I don't want to like spend the interview like doing all that. I just want to figure out like what are the things that you did, which is 1 call, and then you got the launch. You went and you recorded your modules, and then you came back to that. And that means that probably it's like an hour of like probably an hour and a half of you consuming, which is just sitting on a call with our team member. And did you watch a bunch of the modules inside of the course before your launch? Like, what are the next things that you did?
I did. It was more like an as needed thing. It was, I mean, I'm following the process. Truth is, a lot of it made sense without me having to watch the modules. But like normally when I'm stressed out or whatever, or I mean, not me, everyone. When everyone who's doing anything remotely similar to what we're doing now, when they're stressed out, they go to YouTube and they try to find a video. So like their sales are bad and they go like, how to increase my sales numbers? Instead of just going to YouTube to answer that, I'm following a very specific framework and I can just go into the modules and answer the very specific questions that I have about a very specific thing. So I did consume a lot of the content and I did go through them. I couldn't tell you how many or when or anything like that. I just knew that anytime I had a question, this is the person that I'm following. So the answers are somewhere in there.
I love that. And so how is support inside of Ignite for you in terms of our team? How, like, experiencing the type of support that you get? Because I get a lot of questions about like, what type of support is it? Is it like, so whenever you have a question, do you feel like that was going to be answered? Go ahead and in your own words, describe the type of support that you received and in what ways did that help you?
Yeah, there are chats with like, I guess 8 people in a chat, and it's not like you've got 8 random people. You've got like, let's say Kim and then Michael and then like 5 other support people and then you, sort of thing. So there's a lot of people in there. Everybody sort of knows what it is that they help with. Honestly, there's so many people in there. There's a lot of people on your team I've never spoken to. I'm sure maybe they've answered one of my questions or whatever it is, but I kind of just answer the question in there. Ask the question in there, and then it's like, I guess like the Oompa Loompas, everybody just knows who's up at the right time. I don't mean that in any degrading way. I just mean it's like a stream. It's like a machine a little bit. There is a calendar link also, which is great. I'm the kind of guy, like if I do have the problems, I don't have so many of these problems. Like I know where to find the answer, but when I do have a problem that I can't answer, I sort of do need a call. And I did book these calls, and I book calls whenever I do have a problem with Michael. For the bigger questions, and yeah, we hop on these accountability calls or whatever they're called, and yeah, I get that clarity, and it's a step-by-step. This is how to solve the very specific problem that you're facing.
Yeah, I love that. That you take it as needed, and you didn't feel obligated to show up to every single call. You don't feel obligated to know every single person. Yeah. It's just that when you ask a question, the right person at the right time would come on in and then help you with that very next step. So I want to ask this question, and we can't tell the future, we can't change the past, but it's a question I ask all the time. In what way did we collapse time for you? In terms of if you didn't really look into us, if you said no to Ignite. I know that we can't tell the future or a different path of the future or the past, but how much time do you think Ignite saved you by joining Ignite and getting, versus like not coming in and maybe doing the same thing that you've been doing? So
I can't imagine a world. I'm going to answer the question, but I'm kind of going to answer it in a different way. I can't imagine a world where I would have signed up with someone to help me with this very specific problem that I was having. So yeah. I want to answer this question as if, let's pretend I signed up hoping that you were going to be the answers, but you didn't help me and I was forced to be back to where I was at.
Yeah. That's the type of way to answer that question. Yeah.
So if that had happened, first off, I would have been really annoyed, probably with myself, that I let somebody get me to the point that I was ready to purchase, and I somehow didn't see that they were the real deal, because I'm usually good at that. In this case, I was right. But I would have also been at the point where I'm selling this $500 product that really is, and if you're not burnt out from selling a $500 product, like maybe congratulations, your volume is so good, but more likely you either don't believe that you have something that is worth more than $500. Or even if you think that maybe you do and some people could sell it, you're scared that if you start trying to sell a $5,000 product, then you're going to be met with rejection and whatever. And you're thinking like, nobody's buying my $500 product. Why is anybody going to buy my $5,000 product? I would have possibly still been thinking like that. And I would have still been peddling this thing. I would have been having a hard time making any kind of money, which resembles what I'm making right now. And I probably would have honestly been looking at things and been like, what the heck am I doing here right now? Like, why am I killing myself right now to sell a $500 product that, even though there's very low overhead, like how many of these things do I have to be able to sell to be able to not only provide for my family, to be able to provide for the business to have enough money for me and my mom, who's my partner, and to be able to hire people and scale up? Like, it's just not sustainable. And it would have been very frustrating, and I wouldn't have had a predictable sales model either. So I think I probably would have had to do some real introspection to think about whether or not I'm doing the right thing here. And I think at this point in time, first off, I think it goes without saying, I'm going to say it in case it's not obvious, there is no doubt in my mind that what I'm doing right now is going to change the life of myself, my family. I'm hoping for generations to come, and I anticipate that will happen. But there's more money coming in to my business than there ever has been, and I'm happier doing it, and my clients love me more than they ever really have, and I honestly wake up more excited to go to work than I ever have, because I just love the way that I'm going about it right now.
I love that, Oliver. And that was my next question. Like, what that ties into my next question really well. How the way in which you've shifted your business because of the things that are working out after you joined Ignite, how has that changed the way that you look at your future? And how has that changed the way that you have your energy? What did your mind change from like before Ignite in terms of like, this is what the future might look like, to now? And how did that change?
So beforehand, I had months where I made more than $10,000, which was that's generally the first threshold that you try to get to, is $10,000 a month. So I did have months where I'd made more than that, but for me, it was never. When I did that, it was like, I don't know if that's going to happen next month, because it kind of just happened here with like previous clients or whatever it is. So my mindset was always like, I always want to leave my options open. I never want to be in a position where like I can't get a job. And even though in my head it was like, there's like, let's say a 5%, 10% chance that like I'm going to have to go back to the workforce, I know it was likely that I was going to somehow find a way to make it work. But like, it was always in the back of my mind, like maybe I'm going to need to go back. Like, I'm done with that. Like, that's not a thing right now.
Yes.
There is absolutely, besides the fact that I'm making more money now than I have, even if, let's say, for whatever reason, which it wouldn't happen, but even if, let's say, somehow for 1 month I don't make a single sale, I'll be like, that was an absolute crazy anomaly, and I'll be back to $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 months next month. And it's like there's just nothing else for me right now. Like, this is it, and I love it. And honestly, I'm working less than once I went crazy trying to actually build the course. Now it's built. I'm actually working less time than I have. Like, I took my first vacation. I went to Orlando with my family for 10 days. I haven't taken a vacation since I started. I was like walking around. We don't even have, I'm in Canada. We don't have Target here in Canada. I'm literally like walking around in Target in Orlando. My family was like back at the house that we were renting. And I'm just like by myself. And I'm just like, this is like crazy right now that I'm not running back to do work. I'm not running to just quickly get something in and get back and help with this. It's like, I can breathe now. And it was the first time that I had done it. And it's nice. So yeah, so how has it changed is this is me. This is what I do. And there's no two ways about it. And there's no plan B. I don't need a plan B. It's working. It works. It will work. I can see how it's going to work. I can see how it's working now. I can see what I did wrong back then. And it's just changed everything.
I love that. He said vacation is life. That's kind of like a priceless moment for you to stand there and go, I don't have to run around everywhere. I can just live. And for you to say, this is me now, getting to that point for a lot of people is very difficult, because we go through this imposter syndrome kind of like world of trying to figure it out, trying to figure out our own story. So where you land today, Oliver, is like, it's such a point of peace, like peace in your mind, that you know what next month will look like. You have the ability in yourself, this, that you can forge it, but not only like once in a while have a success, but maybe in the back of your mind, like, oh, well, it won't happen next month. I'm going to go back to a job. I'll always be able to provide for my family, but this is a whole different transformative type of feel to it. Yeah.
So let me say one more thing also. So I'm speaking I mentioned that I was speaking at a conference. It actually got pushed back. So now the conference is from May 17th or May 18th to 9th, May 18th and 19th. I'm speaking at a real estate conference in Austin, Texas, which is crazy how I got that gig, but that's a story for another time. But I was basically in my head, like before I signed up with you, this is when I first got asked to do the conference. In my head, I was like, I'm going to talk about like abundance mindset, or I got things. I'll try to think. I'll create something good. But it was always like sort of nagging me, like I'm going to go into a room with a bunch of real estate agents. I'm not a real estate agent, right? With a bunch of real estate agents that are making like easy 6 figures a year, top producers. And I'm going to stand on stage as me, little me is not a real estate agent. And I'm going to talk to these guys about abundance mindset, which yes, it's something I could talk about because it's something that anybody could talk about. You read some nice sounding things, you post some nice motivational quotes. That's why motivational quotes are awesome, by the way, because anybody could post them. You don't need to be brilliant to post a motivational quote. So I was like, I'm going to do just like a TEDx versions of a motivational quote. Now that I have this, I'm going to go up into a room of a bunch of people. And this happens, right, where I've got agents who are top producers in the area, and I'm like coaching them. And I don't feel like an imposter at all. And I'm going to get up in front of these guys and I'm going to tell them my framework, how it works. I'm already going on podcasts talking about it right now. And it works. And every single time I do, they're like, damn, because I've created that roadmap that you've showed me how to do, and everybody can get around that, everybody can get behind it. So I kind of just wanted to add that for context.
I love that, because I remember our conversation. You're like, well, I'm going to go and have this talk. I'm like, well, this is the best time for you to join Ignite, because then you'll be able to stand more strongly in your talk. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like, well,
I do.
This is a good time for you to come.
I remember it very well.
And oh man, there's so much of what you said that I love. It's just so much confidence, and it does come down to having an offer that you can stand behind. And a lot of the objections, or a lot of the stories that people tell me is, let me go and figure that out, and then I'm gonna join Ignite. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, what? It's the biggest thing
that I get. Also, people say like, let me just get a couple more listings, and I'm like, one second, just so I get this straight. You're coming to me because you're having a hard time finding listings. I've presented you a solution to finding listings, which you agree is the way to do it. And now you're like, let me just go find listings doing the thing that wasn't working so that I can afford to do the thing that's going to get me more listings in the future. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, 100%. So, and there's also one more thing, by the way, that I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like take over right now, but there's another thing that I wanted to add, because I remember where I was at, and I remember, I'm sure that some people watching this can resonate with at least some of what I'm saying. So let us know in the comments if you're like, yeah, that sounds a little bit more like me. One thing I love is that because I have the framework now, when I'm talking about it to anybody, it doesn't matter how successful a real estate agent is, any questions that they have are questions that are around the framework that I've created. So if they come into me with a question about, I don't know, TikTok, that's not what I do. So I can say, I don't know the answer to that question. So by getting crystal clear about what I do know, I know I'm not an imposter, because I'm only ever going to coach what I know, teach what I know, answer questions about what I know. And if there's ever anything that I don't know, I could be like, I don't know that. And they're not going to be like, well, he's not a professional. It's like, no, that's not what I'm coaching. Would you rather me make up an answer? So now I'm very comfortable saying, I don't know the answer to that question, because any question that they're asking me is all going to be a part of my framework. So I can answer anything to anyone. And it gives me confidence, and there's no room for me to be an imposter, because it is mine. I made it,
Yeah, I love that. There's so much conviction. There's so much strength in conviction when you know who you're supposed to serve, the type of questions that you can answer, and it's your framework, it's your IP, it's something no one can take away from you. And even if someone tries to teach something similar, they're still not you. They're not like Oliver, Yeah. So that is so powerful that's why it's the first thing we do with you. It's the first thing we do with our clients. It just is so powerful. Okay, thanks for all these comments. Take over, Oliver. Okay, this is the Ignite group. What is this emoji? What is that? A crane? Okay,
Yeah,
anyways. You guys are hilarious. It looks like a little crane, I think. All right, you guys. I usually our interviews are about 50 minutes, and so I'm gonna be wrapping this up. This is definitely not the last time I'm gonna talk to Oliver, because I like to stitch together the stories of each success as my clients go along in their journey. And again, like, this is what it's about. It's about going from that place that, Oliver, you felt what that felt like. You felt the, hey, I'm gonna invest in something and I gotta figure this out, to, holy shit, this will change my entire family's life. I paid for a vacation. I'm standing in a store having a moment of peace, of silence, and I realized that I'll never go back to working for someone else again. I'll never go back to that feeling of what if. That there's so much certainty and conviction in my story, in my why, in what I do, that for the rest of my life, this is something that, will never change, that strength. And so that's really what this is about, in this journey. Oh man, saying that made me kind of emotional. I'm just like, holy shit. I love that.
I think there's power to the fact that that moment also happens in a target, because if I'm standing like next to the ocean, looking out at the sunrise or sunset, if it's in Florida, if I'm looking into the sunset, thinking like, wow, this is my life, like it's really easy to feel all emotional and touchy at the moment where you're looking into a sunset over a Florida horizon. But when you're standing in a Target, literally just like buying jam and bread or something because you just got to Orlando for a vacation, and you're like, this is nice. Nothing was happening. There was nothing happening for me to feel like that, other than just like, I can breathe.
Yeah, it's the truth. All right, Oliver, I am so glad that you showed up today. I love this chat. This is how I do it. It's pretty chill, and it's also about pulling, from within you, those memories and those moments that changed. And I think that's really important. So to wrap this up, I have two questions, or one question. If someone were to be on the fence about joining Ignite, what do you say? Given that they're a good fit for the program, of course, because we vet everyone. And then the second one is, where can they find you? Shout out your Instagram handle or Facebook. Where can they go to get more into your world if they are into real estate, a real estate agent? So those are my two questions.
Yeah. So it's good that you qualified saying if they're a good fit for the program. So if you are a good fit for the program, I would, and you're on the fence, I do think you should do some soul searching for yourself first and think, am I going to show up? If the answer is, if the answer is yes, I'm going to show up, I just want to know that I'm going to get my money back, I can't imagine a world where somebody who actually is going to show up won't get their money back. It just won't happen. And I get the fact that there's always going to be trepidation before signing up for something. I get that. And I don't think really anything I do is going to be like, that's it, I'm done. However, just know that if you are going to show up and you're going to kind of take the advice and move forward with it, it's impossible for you to not make your money back, depending on how debilitating, however you feel right now. But it's very possible that you might be standing in a Target thinking like, this is my life. Like, I can relax for a second. I can breathe now for the first time in years. That could happen. And if your only concern is, I need to know that this is the real deal, like, it's legit. It is. And then last question is, how do people find me? Obviously my website, gointhebox.com. I'm quite responsive on Facebook. So name is Oliver Bohr. Just type it in. I'm the guy with the light blue blazer. Or you can find me on Instagram. It's The Real Marketer. Or you can listen to my podcast also, which is The Real Marketer Podcast. It's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever. And if you're in Austin, why don't you come to the conference? It's the Real Estate Rockstars Conference. Real Estate Rockstars Mastermind, I should say. So yeah, those are the main ways of getting in touch with me. And yeah, happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
All right, we have get it, Oliver. I can hear the Canada now. What? And I love it.
I'll tell you what, I'm actually English originally, so that's what you're hearing. It's not Canadian.
Oh, okay. All right, you guys. So Oliver, I'm gonna put you back into the green room. You can click X to exit out. Thank you so much. This is not the last time we talk to each other. I'm gonna bring you back on again. I'd love to have you. And I'm gonna put you there now. All right. So go ahead and guys follow Oliver. There's a real estate. If you're into real estate, that's his niche. And just so you know, Cart opened yesterday. We already have clients enrolling, and then Cart is going to be closing on Tuesday, midnight Eastern Standard Time. If we sell out every single time, so if you are slightly on the fence, make sure that you put in your deposit to save your spot. That will push you up to the top of the line, and also all the live only bonuses that you get, which is a ticket to our Tulum event, as well as one of the pay in full bonuses, as well as yeah, those are the live only bonuses. All right, so hope to see you inside of our implementation program, GroupConvert Ignite. And I will, one last thing, is there anything else? We will be talking to another client on Monday. So take advantage of the rest of today. Take advantage of Saturday and Sunday to go and watch the replay. And when we have the conversation with you, again, it is as much as if you are a good fit for us as we are for you. If we are the very next step in your journey where we can bring you from I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw things against the wall, or I know how to convert, but it's not consistent, to like Oliver's story where he's standing in his own silence, in a Target buying bread and jam, and he has that moment where he can breathe. He's not running around, he's on vacation with his family, and he knows that for the rest of his life, he has a framework, he has an engine that will work, that will give him consistent income, and then surrounded by clients who love him all the more for it now than ever. And that can be your reality too. So I'll see you guys in the next interview, and have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. Bye, everyone. Oh, yeah. If you liked that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.